All right, I'm going to continue on. Fear in the unknown.
Okay.
I think a lot of people don't make the leap because of fear. Commitment is a big one I've seen, particularly for young people who have a very different lifestyle to perhaps our parents or grandparents, and committing to stuff long term, committing to livestock 7 days a week, 365 days a year. It's something that we're not so patterned into in our culture nowadays with our fickle kind of lifestyles. And I can see for many people it would be also just a big fear of, you know, a major life change. It is really a lifestyle, and it's a totally different way of life to most of society. And I think, yeah, it's obvious that fear is a big barrier for people. But like I said before, I think, you know, there's ways to test the water. If you've never worked in agriculture before, then I would spend 3 or 4 seasons working at other people's places. I wouldn't jump into something you have no experience on. Lastly, and perhaps most importantly, I think, you know, obviously one of the biggest barriers for a lot of people coming into this is money. It's a big one. There's no magic answers to that. If you have no money, it's very hard to start a business. You need money to start a business. We started this farm with less cash in our pockets than most people spend on a car here. And we had a business plan, so we got loans. And, you know, if you clarify your context and have good enterprise budgets and spreadsheets, then that's one way to go about it. A lot of people inherit money, inherit land, and that obviously makes it a lot easier. But you can do it without owning land. You could do it on rented land. You could do it as a complementary enterprise on someone else's land. And that's the beauty of these models that we're demonstrating here, is you don't need your own farm to run any of these enterprises. And just as a story, the week that I came to Sweden, I viewed a property, several hundred hectares just outside Stockholm, would have cost tens of millions, beautifully fenced and lakes, and very nice property. And the old farmer, as is typical here, in his 60s, and cut the grass twice a year, and that was it. No animals, no farming going on. I took an experienced holistic management grazer with me and set up a meeting. And within an hour, I had full permission to run a pastured beef and chicken enterprise there at no cost. It turns out that they would have got higher subsidies if I was grazing the land, so it worked for them, worked for me. I didn't end up doing that because we decided that it fit our context better to actually purchase a place because of the things that we were going to actually do. But, you know, I just see that there's opportunities all over the place if you're really committed to going for it and you're not attached to how it's got to look. And that's the beauty of holistic management. Once you clarify your context, it helps you get rid of that attachment to life must look a certain way. And I've really enjoyed the fluidity of my management because of that. But yeah, it's, you know, the right person with the right attitude and pitch could happily set up an enterprise at my place if it benefited the farm as well as them. And I think that's true of so many people that own land and farms, you know. If you can find a complementary enterprise that works for everyone, then there's scope all over the place. I hope you benefited from this video.
All right. Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. And I think that's a lot more common than most people think. And they don't, yeah, I was just saying a lot of people don't bother to talk to the farmer and bring their enterprise ideas to them saying, hey, I want to raise rabbits. You got the property and you have these other elements I can use to raise the rabbits. This is what I'd like to do. Here's my business plan.
Well, as I was watching the video, once he got to the point where he said complementary enterprises, then I paused the video and I wrote that down because I've always felt like Salatin's word fiefdoms is a poor word. You know, it's like, because what Salatin's trying to say is that there's going to be layers and layers of business models all on the same property. There can be 15 people running 50 different businesses all on the same property, and they help each other, you know, a lot of the times. And so sometimes they help directly, sometimes it's indirectly, But in fact, the more businesses that you add in, the more the land thrives, and that kind of thing. And so then just now Richard was saying complementary enterprises, which I think is like such a better phrase than Salatin style fiefdoms.
Yeah, you don't have to look it up.
Yeah, yeah. Complementary enterprises. I think that's got to be the phrase that we all should embrace. So then, yeah, and in fact, my old thing with permaculture, which I think I expressed in this show earlier, is that I can't do it by myself. I got to find a way to have a lot of complementary enterprises by a lot of different people. They don't have to live with each other. They don't have to be fucking. They can do this independent of any of that.
Yep.
And then it's like and maybe some of them do live together and whatnot. But it's like, one person is bonkers about raising honeybees, and they're bonkers about raising cattle, and then somebody else is more into the timber stuff as well as natural building, and it's like all this stuff can work together. So complementary enterprise.
Yeah, I was just Bill Mollison's Permaculture Designer's Manual, where he's got the picture of the chicken and all the things that it produces and all the things that it needs. And that's why that exercise is so important, is understanding all the different elements, what their needs are and what their products are. Because once you understand that, you can look for those things as a complementary enterprise. Say, I have chickens, these are some of their needs. What you have produces some of the needs for my chickens. We can build a business here. It's one of the most important things that I got out of the Permaculture Designer's Manual certification.
If I'm raising chickens and you're raising hogs, then whenever I harvest chickens, then I can feed the offal to your hogs.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you harvest hogs, then my chickens can eat the offal from your hogs. It's perfectly safe. In fact, it's very good for them. It's an excellent food source. It's high protein. And it turns out that at the time that you're harvesting your hogs is generally the time of year when my chickens aren't getting all the bugs that they need, and they need more protein sources. Mm-hmm. So it works out extremely well. And
yeah, there's millions of these examples.
Yeah.
You could do thousands of examples just with chickens. I mean, look at like a chicken to greenhouse. Nobody thinks of that as a connection, but there's a lot of connections between chickens and greenhouses. You can make that at work.
True. All right, man. I've got us down as an hour and a half in.
I think this is great timing. I think a show, and I think a lot of people got a lot out of it.
I think it was a good one. I'm glad to have been able to draw attention to this video and talk about the points that he brought up. I thought it was an excellent video. I've subscribed to this guy's channel now. I want to see more of his stuff.